there's the mute button. Hello, people. Where's my camera? Come on. Yes, that's working again. Hello, good morning. Happy to see you. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are doing well. We got a lot to cover today. We got a pretty big show, but I'm glad you're here and I'm not muted, so I think we can get started. Look at this. Look at this. Look at what America's doing. Look at us. We're clever. We're like, look, fascism is really bad, y'all. It fucking sucks, man. You can't be fascist, so we're going to be anti-fascist. And we're going to be so anti-fascist that we're going to create anti-fascism. And it's just fascism. You see how it works? It's the negativity of the positivity. So you take two positives and you end up with a negative. You take two negatives, you end up with a positive. It's so weird how it works that way. It's so weird, but this is what we're doing. And why? Because we love toys. We love toys, ladies and gentlemen. You and me love toys. We love the toys of government. We love the toys of oppression. We love the toys of war. We love the toys of technology. We're playing with toys. We're playing with toys. And only a few people consider it serious. And there's no way for you to consider this serious and somehow it's still, you can go about your normal day. It's not possible. The only way you're going to play in this game is through the tenets of professional wrestling, through the understanding of how things actually are in the world itself, how they actually work. The White House is covered in gold now. It is just crazy gold. What used to be the gold fringe is now just the new taupe. And taupe is the new gold, or gold is the new taupe. And this is really the idiocracy just formulating around you, that it gets so busy now. You're so detailed and decorated with salaciousness that the truth just doesn't matter anymore. And the only people that are going to survive are the people in this picture. The only ones that are capable of surviving such a state like this, the ones that can make it in the Oval Office, even the picture frames are gold. And the only way you're going to make it through the Oval Office is to become one of these things. To become someone who, no matter what you touch, the only reason why you would touch another human being is to produce gold. Have you ever considered that this is the true mythology of the Midas touch? It's something that happens not to a king, but it happens to the kingmaker, who ceases or loses the ability to touch other humanity. That to touch other humanity becomes impossible because every single thing that they see or that they want to see is gold, this precious metal. And when you look at the roots of what makes gold precious, it's actually us. It's actually us. It is true that metalloids themselves, which are a derivative of a liquid, I'm going to just go ahead and say this. This is like a crystallized liquid in the world. It's one of the only reflective materials we have. And you could not get a more basic, well, we like shiny things. It turns out that we are fish with knees, and that when we see things glimmer, we go crazy. But here's the fervor. The fervor is not that gold itself is intrinsically active. The fervor is how we react when one of us has gold. When one of us has gold, this is the true power of gold. Gold itself does not have any intrinsic power. It's only when one of us possesses it and everyone else sees the possession of that, and it stimulates a alchemical reactionary kind of growth. Imagine if everyone in the room could just get drunk, and then you could really find out who's just the real piece of shits in the room. That the alcohol would end up being a truth serum, because it would lower the inhibitions of everyone around and cause the true nature of things to come out. If this was the case, you would almost call alcohol itself a reflective metalloid, because it is reflecting the truth to a world that is trying to hide from such reflections. So this is probably why gold is actually powerful. It's actually powerful because of its effect on a mass population. And I think it's an alchemical gold mine. Oh, there's funny. You're welcome. But this is good. It's good because we hate it. It's good because we despise it. We will say money's the root of all evil, but it's not. It's our behavior. And honestly, the root of all evil is the way you're going to mine good. You are going to discover what this is. And so what you're watching right now is an alchemical chemo toilet that's actually doing a really good job. Every single thing that needs to come up, every single fuck around and find out that needs to happen, every single person that wants to jump to the front and ridicule everyone else for thinking one thing versus not thinking another. Everyone else who's built a career on comedy, even Joe Rogan's coming through this, where the ridicule knots, the people that have built their entire career simply on ridiculing a 1%, is even noticing, oh no, people don't think we're funny anymore. Oh no, what are we going to do? And then they just turn on each other, because this is really the psychological stair-stepping, the hermetic ladder of consciousness itself. And right now, we're at a level where we accept the lowest common denominator among us. We look for the one that lies the most, and we say we want you in charge because the gold gets us shiny. Speaking of gold, I just got some gold for nobody. Thank you very much. And this is why I do the show. It's why all of us react to the way this is coming down, because truly the alchemical mosh pit that is all of us is why we're here. Not only is it why we're here, it's really doing well, guys. I've never seen a more alchemical toilet flushing itself every day, every moment. It's getting faster and faster, and I consider this a form of progress. Right now, there's a lot of domestic gang terrorist signs that you will see on the street that you're supposed to watch out for. There's the Avalon Gangster Crips. There's the Playboy Gangster Crips. There's the Compton Crips, the Big D's, the Little D's, the 90 Gangsters, the West Coast Crips, the Raymond Avenue Crips, the Harlem Godfather Crips, the East Coast Crips, and the Main Street Crips. And then there's the voters. And all of these represent the gang signs that you might see for someone who wants to participate in gang warfare, who wants to create a atmosphere where the majority is in charge, where the collective itself has more power over little you. And little you is going to serve the collective, because that's how we survive in the streets. Yo, yo, yo. That's how we do it. So all these gang signs that you're seeing are in fact our desperate attempt to cling to and survive in this juggernaut of alchemy that we've called on ourselves. And I would say to you that we really are in charge of our own appetite, which means that the amount of alchemy that we call on ourselves is directly congruent to the amount of alchemy that we think we're ready to taste. Nothing else proves this than the AP and Reuters. You're looking at two news sources started in the Civil War, where every single one of us, including yours truly, will embrace the stories that come from that wire the same way that gold is considered to be valuable. It's valuable not because it intrinsically has truth in it. It's valuable because everyone else thinks that it's true. Truthers who are pushing the Charlie Kirk is staged, brah, and I'm laughing at you for not seeing it. You are losing the battle. You are losing the battle of reality. And that you're looking at the power of the collective mythology, and it's going to kick the shit out of you. You're not going to win this, so just give up. I need you to stop pretending that one of us has the truth and no one else does, and that if you have it, your shit don't stink, because this is how the conspiracy community will tear itself the fuck apart. I get it, you don't think anyone gets shot in the face. I get it that you don't think any kind of bad thing ever happens to anyone unless it's been planned by some masturbating Freemason, because this is the kind of thing that really makes you hot. It gets you up in the morning and you feel excited, and you have this sense of ridiculing everyone else because you personally have a fetish for a controller that's literally controlling every single thing that you see, because they have nothing better to do being billionaires on the Epsteinist Islands with the Epsteiniest whores in the world and all the other things that we say they have, and that there's nothing else that they would rather do than plan a psyop to fool you, because you are just that dangerous. You are so fucking dangerous that if we do not fool you, even though you're easily fooled with jingling keys, that if you could overcome this fear of being fooled by jingling keys, you would become deadly and dangerous. And this is a superhero masturbation myth beyond all others, which even proves more what I'm trying to say. Guys, all the psychic fantasies that we have, whether you're in the picture, whether you're not, whether you're moshing, whether you're making fun of the moshers, whether you're participating or you're pretending to not participate. It's all alchemical gold because mythology is never wrong. Mythology is a reflection of the heart, suspended through the crucifixion of being placed among the shoulder blades of your bones. And you're stretched out in time itself, whistling down through the rocket speed hood ornament of time itself, where the only thing facing you in the wind is your bare genital sensory organs. Of course you're going to complain. Of course you're going to insist all this planned. Of course you're going to insist that there's only two parties and that the good guys are clearly the ones that aren't making gang signs. And as long as we can figure out which ones aren't making the gang signs, we'll know who the good guys are. And that this is showing you the professional wrestling reality that you are surrounded by. And I want you to love your brethren. I want you to find power in your brethren. And more importantly, I want you to understand that there are people that are trying to tell you the truth. Not just me. But there are people that want you to see the truth and that it's just a little bit hard to swallow. It's your first Brussels sprout. Your very first one. Your very first one. It was July 1980 in the Carter administration. Presidential Directive 59, PD59, was a top-secret document titled Nuclear Weapons Employment Policy prepared by the Carter administration. It contained plans for carrying out an extended nuclear war. Carter's national security advisor, Zbigniew Brzezinski, described it as an addition to National Security Decision Memorandum 242, a Nixon administration document that it superseded. This document fucking blew people's minds. It blew their heads off. Part of its contents were leaked shortly after its creation, causing a public furor about nuclear escalation. Finally, later, a redacted version of PD59 has since been declassified and released publicly. James, why are you telling me this? Because this is the wrestling. Public directives, presidential directives, are not laws. And additionally, they're not required to be released to the public. The president has full authority to issue any memo to anyone in his department he wants. He's not required to show you. Even the Freedom of Information Act does not actually enforce him to do that. The Nixon tapes kind of painted you a picture that every single thing was recorded. But as we've covered here on this show, the Watergate was a check written by hand, literally a check. You could not argue for more written proof than a check cashed from the White House to the bad guy, like with the memo that said extortion. And this event painted the same idea of CNN saying, oh, we had 12 chances with Osama bin Laden, but it never occurred to us to tell the FBI, or they didn't ask. We would have told them. If only the government was greedy enough to infiltrate the media, says CNN. If they would have infiltrated the media, then they would have known, but they don't, because the separation of church and state is real. And that fantasy is now no longer serving us because we've entered into a new kind of constitution, which is a Noahide constitution, a Noahide army. And this Noahide army is literally based around one cross, and that cross is public safety. Article 1, Section 9 details the writ of habeas corpus is suspended under the auspice of public safety. So all of your personal rights, all of your bodily rights have actually been trumped since the day you woke up and said, I love the Constitution. And I did. I swore an oath to a Constitution, so I'm guilty of this too. This is how I learned this lesson. But that all of us have been pledging an oath, those of us who did, pledging an oath to the cross of public safety. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing that now, not because it was necessarily there and inhibited as a secret door, although it could have been. I'm not against that. We're seeing that now because the appetite of people is so low-key wrestling, is so low-key everything's an auto hoax, is so let's ruin conspiracy for everybody by literally calling every single fucking thing a conspiracy. And that people hold themselves down. They create this own sense of we're not worthy, this own hyena nature where we just buy things. And this is one of them. It's so hard to see this as an abject Tollian. Eckhart Tolle would say, and please look at Presidential Directive 59 as an indication of your pain body rising inside of you. And the pain body finds food in your angst, and the angst feeds the pain body, which makes it go away, but only for a while. What is the power of releasing a nuclear weapons employment policy? What does that do to the mind of the people? It reminds the people that government is legitimate. It reminds the people that government is needed to save us from an overarching power. Right after Carter, Reagan came out and said something really interesting. He said, it'd be great if a bunch of fucking UFOs came down because all of us would get along. And we're all getting along, boom, because we're shooting bug people. And truly, I would say that the reason why we can't have nicer things, guys, if we acted more mature, less hyena, the government would be planning an alien invasion where we get to win. Do you understand that? Like, if we had the psyche for this, I would actually be for this. The government would be like, let's go underground and build genetic mannequins, insectoids. Let's make them more hideous, and let's give them antenna. Because everyone hates antenna for some reason, because no one wants to like think what everyone else is thinking or be in touch with the world itself. So let's give them antenna and let's stave an insect invasion. We're going to have the grasshoppers versus the humans. It's going to be great. And all of us are going to have cookouts. We're going to be like, we're going to cook a lot of grasshopper. And now we're going to eat bugs. It's a brilliant plan, says the Pentagon. They're like, dude, we're going to win the war and we're going to eat bugs. We're going to get people to eat bugs. And this is, now you're thinking. Now you're thinking like a congressman. Now you're fucking thinking like a dude who's in control of the world. You're thinking right. But I need you to understand that the flux of the crowd, the tribal nature of the crowd, is completely unpredictable because it's irrational by definition. It's irrational as a safety mechanism to stop a single line from hacking it. Have you ever considered that the herd is actually smarter than you think? That the herd itself knows that if it perpetuates itself in a immunal plasma bubble of we love professional wrestling, that the intricate predator would be unable to predict every single thing they would do and instead could only focus on certain members within the crowd and eat them. It's brilliant the way nature set this up. It gives you a home base that's constantly moving. That's the herd itself. Just like playing tag as a kid. Now you just run back in the herd. You just run back in the plurality. You could shout homosexual, fearful epitaphs at people and feel better. That guy's gay, or that sport is gay, or are these people are Nazis, or these people are not Nazis enough. And that all of us get to play tag because we're running to and from the herd. If you understood that people were that way, you would start to do this. You would start to say, okay, we need to increase legitimacy of the government. And one guy named Sven, someone as dumb as me probably, was like, hey, why don't we just tell people the truth? Oh, let's listen to that. And then Carter's just like, yeah, that's not going to fucking happen. What we need Brzezinski. Bring in Brzezinski. That guy knows what the fuck he's doing. And you release conceptual stories. You release images of the rumor of a suitcase with a red button. Sam Altman just did this with AI. You release the rumors of the idea that one guy is carrying around a suitcase. And if things get too bad, if the machine gets too woke, if the pew-pews become too pew-pewitous, right? That there will be one person there that's there to push the red button and end this whole thing. And that you and I call that great the same way that the conspiracy addicts will insist every single thing is an auto hoax because you're addicted to power. You're addicted to someone being in charge. You cannot handle the herd. You got to trust the herd, baby. You got to trust the herd. When it comes to an alchemical hermetic order, first of all, throw out the fact you're going to win and trust the herd. These two things are kind of required. They're both required. You're looking for sanctity. You're not going to win. Okay. The people who are driven by the idea of winning are the people that are going to end up inside the golden chambers. And this is Revelation tells you these are the people that suck the dick the most. I'm sorry that sounds harsh, but if you truly look at what Revelation is preaching, the 144,000, the chosen ones. Those are the ones who suck the dick the most. They are the ones, they're slaves of the system, admittedly. They've been purchased by the system, which means that they are the finest product that the system has to offer. And that they are chosen to sing the praise, to suck the Kronos of Cthulhu the most for eternity, because God, for some reason, said, look, if we're going to survive a cataclysm, I'm going to need like 144,000 of you to suck my dick for like 8,000 years. And that's basically the story of Revelation. I'm waiting for someone to argue. I'm waiting for one person to say, this is not true. This is not how it all... No, this is the story of Revelation. And what's interesting about Revelation is there's a third choice. It's not even mentioned. It's not even mentioned. It's so obvious that there's a third choice. A third choice is to be like, well, what if I just think you guys are retarded? Like, that's a legit option in Revelation, but people don't know that. So people are competing. Which one of us is going to suck Yahweh's dick the most? Which one of us? And then you're going to get to do that for eternity. I should stop saying Yahweh's dick. It's probably not helping my numbers. Some of you were like, I'm so offended. James, I'm offended by you. Then you got the trilats, the fraternal order of we're not listening. The fraternal order of we're going to rush the world. And we're going to do it with a recycling logo. We are going... If you understood how professional wrestling we are, I think it would be natural. This sounds really cruel, but it's just true. It would be really natural for you to imagine how easy it would be for a secret organization to want to punk the world. That if they saw just how horrible the behavior was, that they would be like, fuck those guys. Why don't we not do good things either? Why don't we not do true things either? Why don't we not follow this same kind of moral code ourselves? Why would we do that too? And then now you're like, oh, well, now the world is destroyed because no one's following the code. But they are following the code. They are following the code, guys. This is how you follow the code. How do you follow the code? You pretend to have a code and then you decide you're not going to follow it. You're following the code. The place where you lose this is losing faith in the Gaia to not see this coming. This romantic notion you have that you're unnatural, that you are not a part of nature, gives you this superpower where you think that God is sort of like, oh no, they're acting. Oh no, those kids are playing something that we never once conceptualized. And we as substitute teachers are too weak and magnanimous, even though we're omniscient and omnipotent. And even though we're vengeful as fuck, they're able to do things that we're not able to predict. And this is you shitting on God. You're pissing on God. The more you cling to you being a natural, the more you're insisting that God has no power and is clueless and has major trust issues with old Satanito, right? Santana, Prince of Darkness, Prince of Latency. He's like, I'm the Prince of Latency. My name's Satan. I got horns because I am horny. This is not... Come on, guys. Come on, you know why you're horny. God gave you fertility so you could, have to check yourself. You'd have to go around. Don't you understand that when God introduced fertility, he's like, okay, I need all you guys to find a sponsor. You don't get to stay here unless you find a sponsor. If you can convince one more person that you should stay here, then you guys get to have sex and then you get to stay here. And that's the only rule. You got to have a sponsor. Each of you have a sponsor. That's what fertility is. So now you're like, well, fuck, I gotta convince one of these people. I gotta convince a woman. Man's like, fuck, wait, I have to convince a woman? I have to convince a woman? And God's like, dude, you only have to convince one woman. You only have to convince one woman. And I'm putting a shitload of grapes down there. And Adam's like, well, what do you want me to do with grapes? He's like, you'll figure it out. You'll get desperate. You'll be like, hey, I'm going to drink these grapes. But I'm lazy and these grapes have gotten kind of sour. It's almost like they're fermenting or something. And then your lazy ass is going to be sitting on the couch and you're going to drink the grape juice. You're going to be like, hey, Welch, come over here. You're going to drink some Welch. It's going to be fermented. Now you got Bacchus in you. And now you're like, oh, I must be doing something that God never foresaw. How could God ever foresee that I would be a lazy ass who wasn't tending to my Welch's, and now I'm drinking fermented grapes, and now I'm fucking drunk, and I really want to get laid. It's like, God never saw that coming. You're right. Oh my God, you guys are so clever. God never saw that coming. Oh my God, you guys, God's fearful. He's like, oh no, they're rebelling. Oh no, they're rebelling. I want to remind you guys that Trump put a $50 million bounty on the head of narco-terrorist Nicola Maduro. It was March 2020. I know I've said this before, but I want to remind you that on Friday, this is a while ago, this is back when Biden was president, not only did the Biden administration issue new financial sanctions on 8 officials from Maduro's government, but they increased the reward from 15 to 25 million. Here's two guys that are supposed to hate each other, doing one of arguably the most un-American thing you could possibly imagine, at least from what we pretend America is supposed to be. Invading a foreign country, deposing a fully elected, an actual election took place where the people voted for this guy. Depose the active election, remove the elected official. The elected official somehow was able to survive through Trump's reign. Venezuela had another election. They voted him again. And we still want to kill him. This could be one of the most highest political infractions in American history. Easily could be in the courts for years. The prosecution, the impeachment and prosecution of an executive official for invading another country without an act of war of Congress, and not a fucking person, except for me. There's others. No one says a fucking word. These are not laws. This is not a system. You're not looking at a justice system. You're not looking at a tribunal. You're not looking at hey, look, we have to do things by the book. You stop it. Stop it. Jane, you ignorant slut. Stop it. Stop it. You're in the jungle. The jungle's going to look more like wrestling. It's never going to be real. And the second you and I try and let's introduce real wrestling, it'll be great. It'll be great. No one's going to come. The power of Trump compels you. And when you start to look at what's happening now in this Judeo-Christian nationalist conglomerate, you're going to find that the only people that are always going to rise to the top are the ones that are willing to be irreverent the most. Definitely, these are the ones that will be irreverent the most. But we are insisting that we will punish each other for irreverence. We develop a system where irreverence is wrong, and so therefore we're going to punish the other side for being irreverent. And that's what we're doing now. So we're electing the most irreverent we can among us, and then we're punishing those for being irreverent and watching them just try and get away with it. And most of the time they do. It's the equivalent of throwing a chair at a professional wrestling match. You would think that the very first time someone threw a chair, like the match would be over. Like the entire event would stop. Be like, stop. Rod Piper, I am disappointed in you. Andre the Giant could have cut his eye. You could have poked his eye out. Everyone go home. Everyone go home. This is not what we're here for. Did that happen? No. Does that happen in DC? No. Is it broken? No. You insisting this is broken. You insisting this, I don't even know how to fucking point. You insisting this is broken is the reason why it's painful. And even it being painful is not broken. It's you insisting that it's not broken that's causing the issue. The power of Trump compels you. And I'm gonna, if I can get to it, I'm gonna push today the idea that at the end of this is actually goodness. The less you catch on, the more they're forced to wink. These are two actors hired by the state to play actors but also be like working for the state. And you might ask, well, which one do you mean? I don't know. I don't know which one I mean. I have no idea which one. One's holding an Oscar, the other's holding an Oscar. One's an Oscar for war, the other's an Oscar for Hollywood. It's the same fucking thing. So don't ask me which one's which. I don't fucking know. And you know what's even worse is that there are people out there like, I know the truth about Sean Penn and that he's the only one that blah, 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 because he had sex with a baby once. And we're going to focus all this time on this baby sex thing coming up tonight because we're going to solve this whole thing and break it down. Blah, 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 blah. It's just like, I don't know, guys. Stop calling me, asking me to tell you the answer. I think the answer is that this is Gaia. I think the answer, this is what a jungle looks like. It's the jungle. It's the jungle. It's what the jungle looks like. It looks like this. Guys, this is the Secretary of Defense. This is not a joke. Guys, I didn't make this picture up. I didn't make this. I know some of you are like, James, you should not be using AI. I didn't do this. Some of you guys are like, I didn't do this. I did not do this. This is Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Guys, he served Fox News longer than he did the military. The Secretary of Defense spent more time enlisted at Fox News than he did in the actual military. Look at the picture. How can you not get more zany? How do you undo the wrestling from that? How do you add more wrestling to this? How do you do it? War is to man what maternity is to a woman. I do not believe in perpetual peace. This is Mussolini who said this. But if you listen to what Hegseth just got through saying, it's the same thing. It's the same message. Exact same message. Actually, Benito Mussolini had nowhere near the same gay undertones, honestly. Because I got to be honest with you, this guy's really focused on looking at fat guys. This guy is fascinated by soldiers in uniform. He spends a lot of time looking at soldiers wandering around in uniforms, like all the time. First of all, these are quotes. We need more submarines to fight Antifa. James, he did not say that. Yes, he did. It wasn't the exact sentence, but he did say that. It's all in the same paragraph. Same paragraph. He's explaining to you that nowhere is there a more important time to fight Antifa than now, and that to do that, we need submarines. He fucking said that. This guy wants to be a diver. Do you understand? He wants to go deep. He said, would you want your son serving with fat troops? He didn't say incompetent troops. Pete didn't say, do you want your son serving with incompetency? No. He's like, hey, do you want your son to be hanging out with a fat guy? You don't want that. That's gross. You don't want that. You want a nice, trim, muscular guy in the foxhole with your son. That's what I want. Me, my son, I want him to be in a foxhole with a sexy, low body fat percentage dude. That's what I want. That's what Pete said. Pete said, frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, he says. He kind of gives up and see fat people. I don't know how to get more closeted. Guys, what is he focusing on here exactly? And he says, likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals. Looking at you, generals. I'm tired of walking around the Pentagon watching you guys move your little cheeks. I think you're a little bit fat. I think you should come to the gym with me and pound some iron, says Pete. He's fucking saying this. He's like saying this. He's a Secretary of Defense, and he's like, dude, we need to call this the Secretary. We're the Department of War now. We're the Department of War. We're Department of War, and holy fuck, man, I can make all my kids wear the same thing. So come on. Come on. And when you consider how much we are into the professional wrestling thing, and we are into it, I really want you to start thinking about the 7 laws, the Noahide laws. I really, really think that you're looking at a new Bill of Rights, and the Bill of Rights is a global Noahide system. And the laws are really low key, low importance. Noahide laws or 7 laws that, if you don't know this, the idea is in the Protocols of Zion and other documents, which I think Protocols of Zion, to be honest, is kind of fucked up. I have a hard time accepting that as being, this is the central tenet, because I don't think they had a central tenet then. I think a lot of people have central tenets. I think the Rothschilds have a central tenet. I think the Pentagon is a central tenet. I think Antifa has a central tenet. So I'm not trying to say there's not central tenets. I'm just saying that the idea that, honestly, a bunch of rebellious Jews back then were like, we're going to control the whole world. I don't even think they knew what the world was. I'm just saying conceptually. However, it's a great fantasy because, again, we want to have someone in charge. We want to have the Jews in charge. And most of the people that are bitching and complaining about the Jews in charge are actually complaining because they're not in charge enough. I know it sounds insane, but you have to understand it's the wrestling, which means that as you're watching the people cheer, you have to understand they're not cheering because of the injustice that they just saw with the chair. They're not cheering, we must fix the injustice. That's not what they're doing. They're saying more chair. They want more chair. They want more Pete Hegseth. They want more idiocracy. And I want you to trust the system, not the American system. I want you to trust the jungle. I want you to trust the jungle as much as you can, which is very little, because you understand what the jungle is. Because if you can do this, you're going to have a better time and you're going to be able to survive people like this. But more importantly, you're going to be able to survive the people that fall for the shiny metal objects that he carries. The 7 laws are pretty sick. Do not deny God. I think that's sick, by the way. I think God gave us atheism to watch what we would do without privacy. With privacy. And that there's an old Christian tenet that says, you will only know who someone is by what they do when no one is watching. And people like Pete Hegseth do not believe that they can be trusted alone in a room. This is most of the voting population. Most of the voting population, in fact, actually most of the people that are technically ridiculing like any other group right now. If you think about it, the people that are like, hey, don't suck a dick today, if like that's your motto for your show, you're thinking about this all the time. And you're looking for a Noahide government to install these laws to make it so brutally painful for you to stray that you will not stray. And that truly, the American way is to ask for this system before it's here, which is why I think that this is the system that we want. 10 is too many. 10 commandments is too many. And we want 7. And we want the first one to be that no one gets to deny God, because we just like that. We think it's cool. We think that if we can just make people say that they believe in God, that they will suddenly act better. That'll fix it. And that's wrestling. That's what a wrestling move would sound like. Something so ridiculously stupid that would never work. But if enough people believe it in the room, it's fun and you watch it. Number 2, do not murder. Hey, way to go. We got a good one there. But guess what? Murder is defined by the state. You understand the definition of murder is actually what the state deems as violent death. That's the definition of murder. So even when you hear like conservatives say abortion is murder, they're not actually saying murder is wrong. They're saying abortion is not allowed by the state, therefore it is wrong. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. The same thing when you're like, he was assassinated. No, first you're making him as a political leader, then you're killing him. That's not how it works. That's not how this works. Do not steal. Great. Do not steal. That's a good one. Do not engage in sexual immorality. This is awfully broad. Holy Jesus, this is broad. Luckily, they decided to give a little parentheses. So, oh, by the way, this is like incest, adultery. It doesn't actually say much more than that. It's very vague. It's very, hey, you can use Grindr. Number 4 is very pro-Grindr. Number 4 is very pro-Grindr because it looks like it's anti-Grindr. Number 4 is exactly what you want if you wanted to have a little late night jousting with another Republican at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. This would work for you. Number 5, do not blaspheme. Do not curse God. Do not say, damn it. Do not say, God damn it. Do not say, fuck, I hurt my toe. God, fuck. You can't do that. Because if you have feelings and you express them, you are wrong. You're going to burn in hell. You're going to burn in hell for expressing your feelings. You don't have feelings here. Facts don't have room for feelings. This is the religion of fascism. Do not eat a live animal. Think about where we were, where some fucker had to say, hey, you guys can't rip a limb off a live animal and eat it in front of the live animal. That's kind of maybe not cool. That we had to literally say, hey, number 6, we need that. We have to do this. We have to fucking do this. It tells you how far we've come, which is why you would have faith in Gaia. You would have faith in the system because, holy shit, if we came from there, look at us now. Look at us with our PETA. We got PETA now. Like, that's how far we've come. This is progress. And Pete wants to take the progress away because he thinks PETA's bad. Oh, well, we can't have PETA. We just want no-hide laws. That is PETA. Number 6 creates PETA. Number 6 is the Department of PETA will be established. Number 7, establish courts of law to ensure justice and uphold these laws. This is the biggie. A world court. A one world court. And who's in charge of that? The same people who get to define what murder is. The same people who get to define what America is. The same people who are willing to wrestle more than you. The ones who are willing to do really probably shitty things in their life to get where they are, to do what they've done. Pete's got a lot of sexual assault history, but it doesn't matter because he's a Secretary of War. Dude, you want someone in war who's going to sexually assault people. How are you going to win a war if you're overweight or if you're not sexually assaulting people? This is like the core requirements for winning any battle. Guys, which one? Which one? Which one here has more seriousness? Which one here would you take more seriously as like a governmental employee? If you were asked, hey, which one of these is kind of like fake, sort of like superstar kind of, which one? I don't know either. I don't know either. And that's the whole point. You're not going to know. You're not going to know either. It's not going to happen. I want to play something for you. Gonna play something for you. Hope you're doing good. Happy Monday. This is the Charlie Kirk Memorial, and make sure you can hear it. Yeah, I think you can hear it. This is Charlie Kirk Memorial. I've cut a lot out of this, but I want you to hear. I've superimposed 3 themes that are all there together. And I just want you to hear it. Well, you're listening to James True Live. Go figure.
Please welcome Pastor Rob McCoy.
Sorry, I gotta stop. Yes, he really has that tattoo. Don't watch. Yes, I'm not making this up. Guys, my last name's true. I don't fucking lie. I know that I told you all that I lie at least once a show. That was a lie. I can't even lie about that. The tattoo's real. I'm just sorry to interrupt, but the tattoo is real. It's very real. This is real. Woo-hoo. All right, let's do this.
Good morning, everybody. But he said, Rob, not only are you my pastor,
you have nothing.
But you're America's
nothing.
pastor.
You are
and I said, Charlie, if we were at a tabling event on a campus where you had the table said, prove me wrong,
you can
I'd win.
build nothing. You can produce nothing.
You proved me wrong.
You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity.
Who art in heaven.
In a moment, you're going to hear the most powerful political
Thy will be done
people in the free world.
on earth as it is in heaven.
Everyone is worried
Give us this day our daily
that
bread.
the turning point isn't going to be
And
successful.
forgive us our trespasses,
And I look
as
at
we
each and
forgive
every one of
those
them,
who
and for those of
trespass
you who are
against us.
negative,
And lead us not into temptation, but
without
deliver
turning
us
from His presence, they
from
pulled off
evil.
the largest event in turning
For
point
thine is the
history.
kingdom and the power
Let's thank them.
and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Turning Point is alive and well. To welcome is the guest of honor. The guest of honor, his resume is long. He's the King of Glory. He's the Prince of Peace. He's the Savior of the world. He's the living God. He's the God of all mercy and grace. The total embodiment of love. The total embodiment of truth. Jesus came to this earth, was tempted in all ways, yet was without sin, was crucified upon a cross. His blood was poured out because blood must be shed for the remission of sins. And his death upon that cross.
Blood must be shed for the salvation of sins, or the forgiveness of sins. This is probably the biggest evolutionary jump in psychology is the pain of guilt, believe it or not. That there was a time when many of us were not online yet, that our consciousness was not online yet. And the moment it came online, the moment a few of us came online, Jesus was one of these, that his coming online was so addicting that it caused everyone else to come online too. And it was such a painful coming online that it caused a revolution in psychology, in government, in conceptualization. It literally changed the calendar of time itself, that we began to record time from this concept of AD and BC. And if you really want to know the truth of what AD is, it is the rise of you. It is the rise of self inside the beast. And I mean beast in the most furry, cute, fucking adorable way you could imagine. Because you and I rose as a frontal lobe, a tumor on top of a tumor that said, I am Prometheus. I see myself. I see my future. I see my past. I am my own cosmology. And Jesus coming online was permission for people to start to alchemize their feelings of guilt that they had for ripping the leg off of a living animal and eating its flesh as you watched it suffer. And whether that animal be human, child, or another four-legged creature on the earth, it does not fucking matter. That there required an incubational period where there was no psychology at all because you needed calories to build your brain. And you built this brain through cunning, through hunting, through camouflage, through exercising techniques that you learned in woodcraft, and all the skills that you developed as a hunter became skills that you used at war, because war is just a form of hunting. It is a form of gathering calories, and that these calories can be gathered up in such a way to where we can grow compassion one day if we have enough. Right now, we insist we don't have enough. We as the first world have insisted that the third world needs to suffer more, and that we would be wrong to try and regulate them. That us having a porous border, the very foundation of what made us who we are now, we now need to stop and prevent other people from satisfying themselves on the same benefit that we gave ourselves, which is to come here and liberate the shit out of any native that dared to stand in our way and create a palisade that we called our own. And we're saying we will not accept that from anyone else now. And that Mexicans can go fuck themselves, Cubans can go fuck themselves, Canadians can go fuck themselves until we take them over. And only then can they thank us for liberating them along the way. This is a psychosis, and the psychosis is still people spinning out from the moment their emotions came online, and you're watching this bastardized teenager masturbate with gunpowder and tell you it's Jesus. And here's the part where I convince you that this is progress. It's progress. Before I convince you, though, I need to show you where we are, because I don't know if you necessarily get it. It was in 2023 when I first brought this out, but the U.S. courts have refused to review anti-BDS law. And anti-BDS law is a marketing term for you're not allowed to boycott Israel. It's created a felony in 26 states. Sometimes I say 28, and forgive me. But in 26 states, probably more now, honestly, I need to check again. It's a felony for you to boycott a specific country, Israel. The word BDS doesn't have the word Israel in it, but it's specifically the country of Israel. And these measures have grown to swallow free speech on college campuses and have actually ended the ability for the survivors of the USS Liberty to give their testimony. Pete Hegseth claims to be a Navy veteran. Pete Hegseth spent more time enlisted in Fox News than he did in the U.S. Navy. Pete Hegseth didn't cover this story in 2023. Do you know who covered this story? Fucking Al Jazeera did. It was the only outlet that would cover it. And I used it to explain what emotional buffering is that the reason why it says the decision does not necessarily mean the Supreme Court won't look at it, and that this is what we do to satisfy a crowd that frankly is so hyena, that is so low consciousness that they will never, ever catch on that something bigger is happening. And they'll invent fantasies, but they'll never actually bother to see the truth because the truth burns their eyes too much. Every red state that you see here has said we will never, ever, 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 ever question monetarily, spiritually, or religiously the country of Israel. That's what the red means. The dark blue, they're about to be red. The light blue is the only people that think it's fucking stupid. The only ones. Look at you, West Virginia. Proud of you guys. New Mexico. You're holding the line. Keep it up. As I've said before, the U.S. has the strongest, according to Pete Hegseth, the U.S. has the strongest, most powerful, most lethal, most prepared military on the planet. And we cannot defeat Israel. We will never invade Israel. Why the fuck are we not invading Israel? Why the fuck are we not invading Israel? We've invaded every other country since World War II except for Israel. Why the fuck would we not invade them? Why would we not liberate the Jews from the Zionists in Israel? Why would we not? Donald Trump said, I said we have the strongest military anywhere in the world. I say it. You never heard Biden say that, Trump says. The state of Israel is roughly the state of New Jersey. It's a little bit bigger. When your grandparents will be here, the state of Israel will be the size of Montana. Mark my words. If America was real, we would have invaded Israel and liberated the Jews from the Zionists in the 70s. And we would have used the June 8th, 1967 event to do it. We would have said, well, you know, we love our troops, says America. Hey, guys, turns out America loves her troops more than Israel. And we're like, hey, you know what, Israel? Fuck you guys. We're just going to take over. We're going to liberate you guys from the Zionists, and we're going to liberate the Palestinians from the Zionists, because that's what America does. We liberate things because this is what we do, right? Isn't this what we're supposed to do? Isn't this what we're supposed to do? But safety first. This is what we're doing instead. Dude, this dude, he's wearing a mask. Like, he's trying. This dude on the ground's literally trying. He's like, oh, you guys wear masks now because you're retards? Okay, yeah, I'll wear a mask. What else do you want me to do? This is the power of safety first. This is truly the power of that Article 1, Section 9, guys. What is the difference between these two? Which one? Because both of them are wearing codpieces, wandering around kicking ass in the middle of broad daylight. Like, you got me. See, now it's the good news. I got some gospel for you. I do. I got some gospel for you. I'm not kidding. You see, the old archetype was Jesus's humility. The old Christianity was based on being humble. The new Christ, the new Christian nationalism is based on power. Jesus is power. And when Jesus has power doesn't need to drag a cross. Carrying the burden of Jesus just takes some wheels. It just takes a party. This is Charlie Kirk's memorial. Guys wandering around during the memorial like this. No one says a word because the people are weak. They're too weak to even question this. And they would need to be weak because Jesus would need to turn into the worship of power, and that's what's happening. Jesus is power. That's what this says. This is the idea that, hey, my Savior is power. Do you see how it's changed? It's my Savior is not humility. My Savior is power now. Jesus is power. You will never forget how powerful we are. You will never forget how powerful we are. This is what the memorial was about. We are powerful. Jesus is power. And this is a big move because for the longest time, the worshiping of humility, which I know many of you have even fought me on this, where you've been like, James, why are you got such a beef about humility? And it's because humility leads to this. This is why. It leads to people that are not humble. It leads to people that are insisting that their humility is greater than yours, which is a competition for which one of us is the humblest. And I'm just like, what do you guys smoke to do this? Like in broad daylight and not see yourself in the mirror. How much are you asphyxiating yourself? And the answer is a lot. The answer is a lot, but I want you to see that Jesus is slipping. I think the archetype is actually elevating. And the reason why it's terrifying is precisely why I didn't elevate before. See, the psyche is going to start to worship power now because the psyche is coming online more. More and more of us are waking up. It's a white sun, as I've said before. And if more and more of us are going to wake up, it would be quite natural for the mythology and the archetype that we worship to raise the bar to meet us. And so when the power of Trump compels you, I think the deeper lesson there, first of all, I could bitch and say, it's awful. We're all fucking degenerate pieces of shit. I hope we all burn in hell. And all that's great. Although the Helios literally is a giant burning ball of light that's showing you what you've done in the world. So it's kind of funny that we're like, where am I burning in hell? And as we're burning in hell, and turns out burning in hell is not that bad. Turns out burning in hell is actually kind of fun. As long as you understand you're living in this jungle, this hellacious jungle that we have. And when you understand that, this doesn't surprise you at all. None of this surprises you. At another college, Antifa threw rocks when Charlie was trying to speak, says Trump. And this is the special class citizen. This is no different than hate laws that were like, hey, man, it used to be wrong to hate, but now it's like really wrong to hate if you're a black person or if you're this or if you're that or whatever token we've chosen for that day to throw on the cross and sacrifice whatever human we've decided to sacrifice for this idea. But I'm telling you, this is good news because although this will lead to anti-fascism that looks like Stephen Miller, and that's what we're happening right now, that anti-fascism will actually lead to more people saying no. More people will stop paying taxes. More people will not enlist in the military. More people will make it expensive for anyone else to celebrate the military. More people will ridicule, will use pollination and the best they can to shit on Pete Hegseth or to not, or to some of you believe in pure apathy. And I admire that too. Thank you for your apathetic service, because I think pulling your witness from the system is just as effective. So no beef here. But ultimately, I think if more of us claim Christianity, I think if more of us said, yeah, I'm a Christian and I think Lucifer's cool as fuck, I think that would burn the church down faster than anything else, but burn it down in a good way. I mean, like in a good way. Because the only time you're going to find yourself is when you realize the rest of the world's calling you a Luciferian. And why? Because you said they're throwing chairs at each other and it looks like a wrestling match. That's why they tell you that. Or because you say, I think we should stop ridiculing 1% of us, including billionaires. Like, I literally think that. I think it's really fascinating that all of us have this romantic notion that anyone who's more successful than us is somehow magically evil. And yes, I've shown you a lot of people that are more successful than you or dopers. I've shown you that. But I've never once tried to take away from the fact that you would not be successful too. I just don't think you're going to be seen. You're not going to be seen in the world. Do you know why? Because you're too busy kicking ass. You're not a piece of furniture. There's not enough meat on those bones. Not like this. This is meat on the bones. And there are people that do not have a self. And the people that do not have the self will find more quenching from the collective than they will from their own personal lives. And when you are quenched more from the collective than your own personal life, you are a vessel for God. I didn't say for evil, I said for God. Yes, you will perform evil because God needs a conduit to evil the shit out of you until you will be better. And that all these people are coming to the light, whether they will be alive or not when it happens. But the superficial, fake-ass shit that you're seeing right now is exactly the beacon that we need to lead people into the church of self, into the church of one, into the tribe of one, into the je suis of Jesus, which in French is I am, which means you are the Jesus. And when you start to understand this concept of sin, I agreed with the preacher who said this. He said it well. Sin is the definition of an arrow that's missed a mark, and the percentage or the distance of missing that mark is the sin. If you were to profoundly stretch this out, you would never know that you are not God without sin. You would never know that you are an individual who has free will, that has personality without sin. We are living in a world where we're told to shame sin, but truly to shame sin would be to shame your individuality. I really hope you're listening to this. That to sin would be to see the movement of God and to choose to be an individual, to choose your own path. And that this is a sinful way for anyone. I'm sorry to rephrase that. This would be an evil, a horrible way, not a sinful way, but a horrible way to live for anyone that did not have a self, for anyone that was too afraid to be a self. But the moment that you start to see how ridiculously retarded the professional wrestling is around you, you start to understand that God actually wanted you to sin because God knew that you would define yourself for the very first time and that you would be forced to live in the righteousness of your own cosmology. And when you were living in that righteousness of your own cosmology, you are more godlike than you've ever been before. Does it surprise you that so many Christian nationalists, it's not just them, but so many Orthodox truthers even, are pushing how crucial it is that you abandon yourself, that you find humility, that you do all these other things except for find yourself, and that the only thing that would happen when you find yourself is that the crowd disappears. Poof. And you want that to disappear. We want an environment that causes that to disappear because it's the only way we can sit with ourselves alone and wonder, is this worth it? Is this worth it? And the answer for tens of thousands of years is no, fuck no, 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 no. I want to be in the crowd. I want to be in the crowd. I want to be in the crowd. Unless the crowd starts butt fucking themselves. If they butt fuck themselves enough, if they spiritually rape each other enough, they cannibalize each other enough, if they just shit on each other enough, some of them will become so disgusted with it that they will leave. And those are your grapes. Those are your grapes. And those grapes who survive is exactly what the orchard's for. Some of those grapes are turned because they're so disgusted by life that they die on the vine and they ferment and they create more grapes. So even they are helping. Even what you call the negative Nancys or whatever. No offense to Nancy. I don't know why we're saying negative Nancy. But that this idea is only producing more grapes. It's only producing more of what we want. Jesus' power is the new archetype, and Christian nationalism is going to come with that, and there's not a lot you can do about it. It's just the jungle, guys. But I need you to know that it's always been this way. This is just the jungle. You've been living in this jungle. I swear, you've been living here for 200,000 years. You don't even know it. I don't think you understand how resilient you are. I don't think you understand how crucially powerful you are as an individual. And the sooner you grow that self, the sooner you become a vorpal blade of future power. You become your own stadium. You start to worship your own sanctity. Did you even know that was possible? You start to worship your own sanctity. Who even knew that was a thing? And we're talking in a world where people don't even know what sanctity means. Not yet. But we're getting there, and I don't want you to yell at flowers, guys. Stop yelling at flowers. These people not only are getting there, they're getting there fast, and the ones that you think are fail are just fertilizing it. They're just creating the fertilizer. This is Jesus' power, guys. That's what this means now. And it might scare you. You might think this is the rise of Satan, but I need you to know that Satan's sensei. Satan's been here the whole time, literally adversing you, so you will take your tongue out of the other person's ass crack and grow some self-respect. We need this. I don't know if anyone notices this, but Charlie Kirk Memorial's passing around black candles and black energy. It's pretty funny. I just think it's funny that the Christian nationalists are practicing some of the blackest magic you can imagine. They're invoking the spirit of Saturn on the Sabbath Samhain, symbolizing the orange and the black itself. This is all feminine divinity. This is secretly calling Gaia to the forefront. Gaia, you're in the bullpen is what this is. The Christian nationalists are calling Gaia into the bullpen. And what's going to rise out of this is an animism like you can never imagine, a kind of tribalism that is so fucking dope because it's a Socratic tribalism that's coming. This fucking deep Aristotelian kind of dance party is going to be happening where enough people that are woke are going to be here, and it's just going to be so difficult to do anything else. But we have a ways to go because you need others to catch up. And we don't want to do what others do and close the dojo. We want people to come into the dojo and learn the same lessons we did, which is why you really need to understand how perfect this place is. If you arrived at me, it's because you saw through a lot of stuff on your own. And maybe eventually you found me. Maybe you find some solace here. Maybe sometimes I really let you down because I don't push the belief that you need right now because you're kind of feeling down. So you may see me as a source of a fountainhead that's kind of dry sometimes too. And even I am pushing you into yourself because I'm insisting you cannot cling to this shit. It's the same thing I did with Flat Earth. Guys, why are you clinging to this when these people are being just as ball earthian about this as the ball earthers are? Why not stay in this zetetic zone where you're only going to accept what you can directly experience? But James, I can only directly experience that it's flat. No, you can't. You can only directly experience about 16 miles of landscape. That's it. That's it. And I think if you could truly go up into the heavens and look down, you wouldn't be able to see the whole thing anyway, because it's just called ambient occlusion, guys. It's just ambient occlusion. If you would read my book, Black Eye Club, I explained that I don't think we used to be able to see through water. And when you start to understand how vision itself works through polarization, through mental extraction, that most of what we see visually is done in the brain. It's a hallucination. The fact that the sky is so blue is completely contradicting the number of blue cones in your fovea. It completely contradicts that. It shouldn't be that blue. And so too would it be very safe to extrapolate that we had to learn to see through matter, that the material that's in the air required a lot of practice. You could even be integrating this with some sort of sonar agent, like the pineal being squeezed by the pulse of your heart every day is rupturing the water. The perturbations in your spinal fluid could be acting as a listening antenna that would give you something even more accurate than vision itself, because your spine is a much larger lens than your eyeballs are. So we don't even know how we perceive the world directly. But we're clinging to the objectivity, the fantasy that we're given by the group, because it's just a little bit unsure. When I was recording this, there was a speech where Trump is politicizing the Navy speech in Norfolk. This is just the other day. And he's politicizing in front of the Navy, so he's like forcing his troops to be Republicans, basically. And he turned his hat to the side, and it just struck me. I guess you guys maybe have seen this. Sorry, I don't maybe pay attention enough, but 45 through 47 is on the side of Trump's hat. Let me know in the comments, by the way, if you already knew this. This is just new to me. I'm just like, what the fuck, James? How did you not see this before? But 4 plus 5 is 9, and 4 plus 7 is 11. And that's not 9/11 like right on his hat. See, to me, you might think that this means that the Freemasons are in charge. In my mind, this means Guy is in charge. In my mind, this is the symbolism is so powerful that you can't get by this. This world is not a mistake. This world has a symbolic resonance, and that 9/11 itself, Building 7 itself, was placed for you, for a few of you, the hermetic, the ones of you who are the ones of you who are hermetic and are not looking for a fucking drive-through window. This is why Gaia's here. She made this for you because she knows you're not going to be finding a drive-up window of esoteric knowledge or truth knowledge or whatever the fuck. You're not going to just watch one guy and then all of a sudden learn what is there. You're going to slowly be wandering through the woods, and you're going to pick the edible plants that are in front of you because you recognize the land and you realize, hey, this is sustainable. I can actually eat this stuff. And that 9/11 is the same way. This is huge for me. I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing because that Serta commercial where Trump thumbed up sheep, and the only sheep that are seeing are 9/11. Is it a secret society? Of course it is. Of course it is. But the secret society, I want you to think about the secret society is bigger. The same way you used to think deep state was like, oh, there's like 3 guys in the government that are secret black worship. You know, they fuck children and da da da, and that's the deep state. It's the same. The closer you get, you realize that was denial. You were just saying it was the deep state because you can't accept the truth that it's the entire state. And so too is, it's not the Freemasons controlling it. It's Gaia controlling it. You're living inside of an archetypal program that's requiring you to render triangles. And Gaia is looking for which one of you renders the triangles the most in reference to what I'm after. That's what she's looking for. And the fact that you're here online after 200,000 years proves that you've passed a lot of threshold tests. Most of the threshold tests you've passed. At this point, you're basically on staff with Gaia, working for the Great Awakening. It's just that maybe 85% of you don't even know it. 15%, 14% of you do. 1% is just animal, pure spirit, wild as fuck. Who the fuck knows why they do it? 14% of you know why you're here. You understand that you've been enlisted into this mycelium army, and that you're watching this war of consciousness happen in front of the greenhouse that you call home, and you have no choice but to be enlisted by it. But also, it's the most exciting thing that you could do. And thank God she brought it here. Thank God Gaia brought this war to you. Thank God Gaia gave you this thing to do, because if you didn't have a spiritual war, you'd probably just be masturbating in a tree with a bunch of other fucks like Trump. That's probably what you'd be doing. So overall, the worship of power is an improvement over the worship of humility, and I've already told you why. A lot of people made fun of the truckers when the truckers came, and I thought that it was one of the greatest displays of organic Gaia nature we've ever seen. And I used this sort of funny looking velvet painting of truck art that I found because I think that the consciousness that you see when you try and picture the artist who drew this is more truthful to the true nature of where we are right now. I think we're in a little bit lower class than maybe you are. And that lower class is actually doing better things than you and me are. That the lower class is actually understanding what the right decisions are. And I want to remind you, most of the truth movement made fun of truckers. They made fun of them. And the only thing that kept the truckers safe was their ignorance that they were being made fun of. It's a weapon. Low consciousness is a weapon for high consciousness. It is so true, guys. It is more true than you can imagine. It really is. The truckers really, really did us a service. Thank you for your service, truckers. Thank you for your service for listening to James True Live today. Appreciate you. Let me know what you think in the comments. We have Dojo tonight at 8 if you want to explore more ways to grow as an individual. And thanks for tuning in. Would love to know what you think. Take care.